Hey, thanks for watching. My name is Rick Ivey. I'm the senior pastor at Wesley Methodist Church. We're glad that you have stopped by. And today I am sharing a video on self-control. And self-control is something that many people struggle with. Maybe it is that you have you have a problem with not giving in to temptation. Maybe it is that you know good and well that there's something you shouldn't do, but you find yourself doing it, and that you know in the back of your mind that something isn't right, something isn't the way that it should be done, and yet you still go ahead and do it. Or on the other side of things, maybe it is that you find yourself in a spot where you knew good and well what it was you were supposed to do. You had a chance to do some good, you had a chance to help some people, and yet you didn't do it. And so when we talk about self-control, that's what we're referencing, that's what we're looking at. We're saying it would be nice, it would be great, it would be wonderful if in those moments or during those times of our lives where we're struggling with doing something or not doing something, that we were able to put some boundaries on it, put some brakes on it, or to follow through on what we're supposed to do. And usually when people think about self-control, they think about it in terms of discipline, of having the right habits, having the right routines, having the right people around them so that when those moments happen, they just do the right thing. And that's usually how people think about self-control, or they think about it in terms of willpower, of having enough internal fortitude or willpower in order to make the right choice and to do the right thing. Yet, from a Christian perspective, things are different. And it is so different and so radical and so unique to the Christian faith that when we begin to talk about it, it may be a little surprising for you. It's not what you usually hear. It's not the self-help books advice when it comes to gaining self-control. Rather, as a Christian, we look at self-control being something that is related to Jesus. That our relationship with Him, our understanding of Him, our being disciples of Him are what helps us gain and have self-control. Now, like I said, it's so different, it's so strange, it's such a unique perspective that it requires a very unique story and a unique explanation. And in the Gospel of Mark, there in chapter 5, there's a story where Jesus actually helped somebody gain control over their lives when previously they had none. And it's a very strange story, especially to our modern ears, but let's just think about it for a moment. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, there is a story about a man who they say in the Scriptures has been demon-possessed. And I know, we don't talk about demon possession very much today, and I'm not even going to delve into or come near all the strange movies or the modern representation of demon possession. Don't jump ship on me yet. Rather, what I want you to think about is just the word that's actually there, that's described there. And really what the word is, it's not demon possession. Instead, what he's talking about there is it says they've been demonized, that something has taken over their lives, gained control of this man's life. And so it's not the spooky, weird stuff of exorcisms or those movies you watch late at night, but rather it's just saying this person's life is controlled by something other than themselves. And the story, you should read it sometime, it's in Mark chapter 5, is that Jesus shows up, and this man who has been demonized, who's lost control of his life, has, he's suffered what happens when we don't have good control of our life. He's isolated. He's left to himself. Other people have tried to help him get control of his life, but all those attempts have failed, and they're miserable. And he howls, he cuts himself, he screams out, And you think to yourself, well, what's going on? Well, he's lost control of his life. No longer is he able to be with the people that are part of his community. He isn't able to make decisions that make him welcome in their presence. And he doesn't like his life. He hates it. He cuts himself. He cries out at night. And that's what it looks like when we don't have control. And many people think that the best of life is having unlimited freedom, unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited abilities. And yet, this man who's been demonized has lost everything that's really important to him. And when we look at this, when we pull it apart, it is one of the most nuanced concepts in the Bible. It's one of the most complex and difficult ideas for us to get our heads around. But think about it in this way. If that man was alive today and he was being diagnosed or he was being treated, they would go through the list. They would say, is there anything physically wrong with him? Has he lost his physical abilities? Is it a psychological issue, They would do the diagnostics, or they would ask the questions of, well, what's going on outside, his community, his family, his friendships that put him in this spot? And the Bible asks a fourth question, not just psychological or physical or sociological, but the Bible asks a fourth question. It asks the question of, what's spiritually going wrong with this person? And the Bible has this unique word, demonized, mastered by something else. And it's important for us to name all four of those things. What's going on physically, what's going on psychologically, what's going on with their community and their friendships, but also that fourth one, spiritually. Are they mastered by something? And when you think about your life and your needs for self-control, I want you to think about that fourth piece. Are you mastered by something? You and I don't think about it in terms of demonic possession, but have you ever known somebody whose career was so important to them, so central to their identity and their personality that they were willing to just dismiss and forego so much of the rest of their life? That they were so mastered by their career that they cut corners, they were willing to hurt their relationships with their coworkers, they were willing to step on other people's heads in order to climb the corporate ladder. They were so mastered by their career that they didn't even know the right thing to do. Or maybe it was a matter of money that you've seen people's lives be mastered by. They're so focused on money, so focused on gaining it, that they're willing to ignore what's really important in their lives. And it could be anything. It could be success, it could be relationships. But the central question is, what's mastered them to the point where they make decisions that they know are wrong, or they don't do the right thing? Worst case scenario is probably around the issue of addiction, that alcohol or drugs or pornography or any number of things master the person to the point where the rest of their life makes no sense. All they can think about is that one thing that controls them. And so what helps those situations where people's lives have become mastered? Well, obviously, in this story, in Mark chapter 5, the answer is Jesus. Jesus comes onto the scene. The demon recognizes his power and his authority, and Jesus sends out the demon, sends him into a herd of pigs. And then I just want to read for you what happens to this man who's been isolated, who's hated his life, who's, probably been seen by physicians and probably had people give all kinds of explanations, and yet Jesus alone is able to help him. And when it comes to the end of the story in Mark chapter 5, he says, those who had actually seen what had happened to the demon-possessed man told others about the pigs, and they pleaded with Jesus to leave the region. And it says, while he was climbing into the boat, the one who had been demon-possessed pleaded with Jesus to let him come along as one of his disciples. But Jesus wouldn't allow it. Go home to your own people and tell them what the Lord has done for you and how he has shown you mercy. The man went away and began to proclaim in 10 cities all that Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed. And so, what's so fascinating is this is somebody whose life had lost all kinds of control. And then, because of Jesus, this man's life is put back into order. He regains his friends, his family, his place in his community. Once again, his life begins to make sense, all because Jesus comes and is Lord over all. And so the catch here, the peace here, the wisdom that's here is that if we desire to be people who are doing the right thing for the right reasons, or not doing something because we know it hurts others or it hurts ourselves, the key here, and this is an important one, is us to have a relationship with Christ, to have a relationship with Jesus, to say that he is our Lord, he is our King, and that there is nothing else that could rightly claim to be our master or our Lord. That money, success, wealth, fame, anything that you name always needs to become a distant second to our being followers of Jesus. That when he is King of our hearts, when he is Lord of our lives, when we say to ourselves, he is our joy, he is our hope, and there's nothing else that can compare. It's when that piece of our lives falls into place that self-control becomes possible. Because every decision that we make from there on, every temptation that we face, every moment of our lives where we are faced with what's the right thing to do, what's the good thing to do, will be guided by that central question of who is our King, who is our Lord, who is it who masters our heart yet frees us and gives us life like no other. That is where self-control is found. That's where it comes from our obedience and our love and our devotion to our rightful King, the one who has authority and the one who is Lord. Thanks for being here. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook. Let us know you were here. Love you. Praying for you. Hope this helps you.